This is your communication podcast with Teresa. We are moving on with lightning speed, and we are coming to the equalities that are essential in a democracy. There are three that are particularly important, and I would recommend that you learn them off by heart, not just for your assessments, but also for your everyday life. You have political equality, you have equality of opportunities, and you have equality before the law. I actually think that the third one is quite an interesting one to discuss, especially with the backdrop of 2020 and the things that are happening right now. It is said that everybody should be treated in the same way by a sovereign legislative body. What that means is, if you have to go to court and you've committed a crime, let's say you have done a shoplift, your sentence must be equal to somebody else who has committed the same crime. You can once again see these equalities are not limitless, because you know that children as well as people with a mental disability are treated differently in front of the law, and they are not being sentenced in the same way. There should also be equality of opportunity. And remember, we've just talked about life chances. This is a lovely continuation of this particular discussion. The idea is that everybody should have the same opportunities to unfold their talents, to self-actualize, to follow their professional dreams, to follow their personal dreams. But we already know that these opportunities might not be as equal as some politicians would like us to believe. Then, of course, we have political equality. I actually believe that this equality seems to be the most stable of the three, because it relates to you being able to vote somebody into office and you being able to stand for office yourself. Now, all of these three equalities is what they call de jure equalities. De jure is once again an ideal, okay? In an ideal world, in an ideal democracy, these three equalities should be given. But the de facto, which is the Latin for the reality, is somewhat different. And I don't want to spoon feed you everything. I want you to think of incidences where these equalities are not exercised, because I'm telling you, there are many, many examples of that. So get the brain engines revving and maybe just write out some examples when you actually found that the equalities have not been granted. I'm coming from East Germany. East Germany, when I grew up, my first 10 years of my life, was a socialist/communist country. Socialism in particular is somewhat grounded in the idea that everybody should be equal. And living in such a system, I know that the striving toward an equal society is maybe a little misplaced, is maybe a, sorry to say, stupid goal to have. And I'm not the only one who feels somewhat icky about a totally equal society. Because if we are all equal, how can we distinguish ourselves? And this is exactly what Tocqueville also actually pointed out. He said, in a society that is very egalitarian, we are starting to have a certain mob mentality, and we're starting to have groupthink, and we're starting to be indifferentiable blobs in the system. He had a few concerns about that, but of course he had a few concerns because he was part of the aristocracy and he didn't want everybody in his country to be all equal. But there are some other aspects to that, and I have actually experienced it in my family in East Germany. If you apply equality as an all-embracing principle, we would probably stagnate as a society. We wouldn't research, we wouldn't develop, we wouldn't try to better ourselves, we wouldn't try to improve ourselves. If you cannot give yourself better opportunities by going to study for 8 years to become a doctor, why would you do it? You do that because you have better life opportunities thanks to that. Because you can get a better attorney, And maybe also because you will have the kind of money that will enable you to run for office yourself. Can you see? It's a strong motivator for people to improve their life chances. And if your government tells you that you are still equal, even though you are working hard, then people might step away from working hard. But let's not ponder too much on the criticism of equality in a democracy. And let's have a look at what it actually requires. It requires, of course, mutual respect and awareness of others. It requires for you to be humane in your thinking, to be empathetic in your thinking. Equality in a democracy could also work if you're just more conscious, self-conscious about what you have and what others have, and also what your opportunities are. And the positive outcomes of equality in a democracy is that the power-hungry can't just take over. Because of the equality principle, those who want to enrich themselves, those who want to be fraudulent, those who want to award themselves opportunities on the backs of others are somewhat stopped from doing that, which is of course a great thing. The last little idea that I want to leave you with probably is going to puzzle you a little bit. In a way, freedom and equality are somewhat mutually exclusive. Think about it. If you are free from restraint to do what you want, you are at the same time denying equality of everybody. This is a little bit of a tricky situation. But as I said, this section gives you a lot of food for thought, and I really hope that you're going to think about it a little bit more. I hope you enjoyed it, Schnookies. Until next time, bye!